Welcome to All Home Care Matters, the show where we discuss all things home care, with discussions on important age-related matters and topics. Brought to you by Enriched Life Home Care Services, the #1 rated home care provider in Michigan by Top Rated Local.
Hello, and welcome back to All Home Care Matters. If this is your first time visiting us here at the show, we want to say thank you for taking time out to be with us today. We appreciate how valuable everyone's time is, and that's why we try and make each episode here at All Home Care Matters something that will hopefully matter to you. Today, we are excited and honored to welcome the team behind the new film, No Country for Old People. It's an honor to have them back. They are also good friends of ours, Susie Singer-Carter, Don Priest, and Rick Montcastle. Welcome back, guys. How are you?
Great, thank you.
Yeah, good to be back. Thank you, Lance.
Yes, thank you for having us.
Always a pleasure. Well, I'm not going to say I'm as happy as you guys because I know, how much labor you've put into this and what a passion it has been for you to get this film created. But we're absolutely thrilled and so just excited and happy for you guys and really for all the people that are going to benefit from this film, seeing the light of day and what it's going to hopefully lead to, further discussions on, these atrocities that we face with our loved ones in long-term care facilities. So major kudos to you guys. The film's coming out August 1st, which is incredible. And I just wanted to kind of start and do a little revisit and just ask each of you really what the genesis was for you getting involved in this film and what it has meant to you now that it's finally being released. And I want to start with you, Rick.
Right. So my involvement comes through a series of unforeseen events. I had nothing to do with media and filmmaking my whole career as a federal and state prosecutor, and now I'm a whistleblower attorney. But in 2022, as a result of the Dope Sick Hulu miniseries and my work on the Purdue case, Susie and I crossed paths. I went on her podcast, Love Conquers Alls, and we started having conversations about long-term care because she was in the throes of going through the crises with her mother. And I had experience that was mentioned in Dope Sick with prosecuting a pharmaceutical company for essentially marketing chemical restraints to nursing homes and prosecuting a nursing home business. So we just started a series of conversations. And in July of 2022, when her mother unfortunately passed away after 6 months of nursing home abuse and neglect, we talked about the systemic crisis and the systemic issues that she faced. And we talked about how do we change that. And so that led to conversations with Susie and Don about let's go and tell the public, let's educate people, let's make this a call to action because it's happening everywhere, every place, all the time.
Right, absolutely. Don, how about for you?
Well, for me, it was, it was through osmosis, basically. When Susie and Rick started talking about making this documentary, well, Susie and I are best friends, and we're roommates, and we're producing partners, and I'm an editor and producer, and Susie, of course, is, writing, directing, producing, and she also edits too. But it was basically like, how can I not do this? Yeah. It became a much larger project than I think we all had thought it would be from the beginning. And over 3 years later, here we are. So, I was very, very close with Susie's mom, and I was with Susie along the whole journey. So I was also not doing this just from a production side and just because of our friendship, but it was personal. And to see what happened to her, it's something you want to turn your back to it, but you can't. Right. Because this is going to affect, everybody in one shape, either to somebody you love, And so, and Susie will tell you that she didn't have any idea what was going on while it was happening. And so, felt we have to get this word out. And so that's how I became involved with the project. And 3 years later, we're so thrilled that now we'll be able to share it with everyone.
Yes, absolutely. Finally, Susie.
Right. Well, I think it goes without saying that if you experience something that is a tragedy, or something that's incredibly trying, and you can take two choices. You can either get through it and wipe your brow and move on and not look back because it's too hard, and be so happy that you survived it. Or you say, I can't keep this quiet inside me. I need to share it and I need to pay it forward. And because I knew the power of storytelling, and I experienced something that I never thought I would experience, and watched my mom experience something that no one should experience, I felt that I would be culpable in a way if I didn't tell the story, because I knew so much. And now what would I do with that information other than talk about it at a dinner party or something? I felt for me, it felt like there was no other thing I could do, was do this documentary.
When you guys decided to start this project, what was the goal then compared to how it kind of morphed over time? Because I know, you've been on the show a couple of times for the film, and I know the goals, kind of the goal line has moved a few times for what you initially set out to do to what it ended up becoming. What were a lot of the reasons, and what were some of the changes that you guys experienced throughout the creation?
Well, I'll jump in for a second, is that, we had so much material, and the story grew bigger and bigger. I had no idea how big the story was, and how deep it went, and how long it was, what the territory that we were covering. I didn't know this. I mean, Rick did. Rick knew all this, and that's why, I felt confident in that we had Rick's expertise and his experience in this area to continue to guide us, and to validate and to vet everything. He either validated or vetted it to make sure that it was everything that we were going to talk about was true, was authentic, was real. And then after we had put everything together, we thought, we're going to have a normal 90-minute film. There was no way that we could keep it at 90 minutes. There just wasn't. And we had other people screen it who thought, you shouldn't do a 3-hour project. Well, everyone who watched it said, you can't cut anything from it. There's nothing you can cut. We see what you're saying. And so it morphed from a film into a 3-part, docu-series, because if we didn't do that, I felt like we all did. We felt like we'd be doing short shrift to the topic. And we have an opportunity to really educate everybody on what's going on. So it became a bigger project, lengthwise, content-wise, than I ever even imagined.
How did you break it up into 3 parts? Is each part unique for a certain message you're trying to get across, or is it just 3 parts, you cut up the time in thirds?
It really, it's kind of a combination of both. We cut it first as a single long piece. And then we said, okay, where, we knew we needed to get it kind of an hour. And it's not exactly an hour. The first one's longer. The second one, it really was, where does the story take us? And it's like, where do we need to, where can we end the story and start without it feeling like, we were, I think it's, sorry.
Well, I think it's compartmentalizing it. We had every section, we isolated every section that we wanted to talk about. And so whenever you do that as a writer, you're going to find a natural break that makes sense to break there. So I think we tried to lead into those natural breaks so that we would entice people to come back and see the second part and the third part. And there were natural, punctuations in the story that really guided us, right, Don and Rick?
Yeah,
I
but
mean,
it's a journey because
yeah.
it takes us through, because this isn't just information. There's been story, datelines about this system, but this is a personal story for Susie, for other people that this had happened to, and the information springs out from there. So but it takes us through Susie's journey with her mom, and all along the way, kind of how she discovered things as she went. The audience discovers things. And so, yeah, and it is broken up into informational segments, but it's not specifically this episode 1 tells you about this, episode 2, but because it almost naturally does that, because it is a journey.
Right.
And it's a journey that a lot of people will take unless things are changed.
Absolutely. Rick, I just wanted to go to you because, like Susie mentioned, you have all this information. That's not what their strengths are. Theirs is in the creation and the editing and piecing it together. When you were going through this project with them, and you guys are now at the finish line, being on the other side of it, and the government side, the policy side, the legality side, do you foresee any change coming as a result of this film?
Let me put it this way. Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, but talking about how things have changed, I don't think that we changed a lot of the original vision.
Mm-hmm.
I think that somehow the three of us, Susie, Don, and I, came together, and we all apparently are all big thinkers. We think big. We don't think little. And so what the process was, we always envisioned a film that would be compelling, that would touch hearts, that would go out in a very large way, not on a YouTube platform or some very small platform. I think from day one, with zero funding, with zero material, I think we all somehow came together with that vision and that ability to think big and fight towards that goal. And so, in terms of others, we think that this has a chance to change policy, because if you look back on 50 years of advocacy, the traditional advocacy being call your congressman, write letters to your policymakers, et cetera, and you look at the progress that has been made for 50 years, and you see, and the film, I think, very importantly and very emphatically says nothing has changed in 50 years. And in fact, if anything, it has gotten worse. And so one part of our conversations, we've had countless hours of conversations about how do we change things? What's missing? All this advocacy, why is it not succeeding? And I think that what we have come to, and we talk about it all the time, is that we need to go to the public. Because what we are battling, we're battling a well-financed industry with hundreds of millions of dollars, not an exaggeration, literally hundreds of millions of dollars being spent every year on campaign contributions and lobbying to keep things the same. That is, to keep a profit over people system going, because it makes so much money for those companies. So how do you battle that when you don't have that kind of money? We don't have millions of dollars, and none of the advocacy programs have that. We've decided we got to make an attempt to go to the constituency. We got to expand our community. We can't just be speaking amongst ourselves. We can't, we've got to go to the public that doesn't know. And where does the public get its information in this day and age? Where's the next generation? Where are the people that can make change for the next generation? Where do they get their information? It's through social media, streaming, movies, films, in essence, storytelling. So yes, if there's anything that's going to make a change, it's this vision of we need to put these facts and figures and statistics and all that into stories that involve real people. And we need to reach the hearts of the public that is out there and doesn't know. So that's kind of been the vision all along. We've overcome what our process has been is to overcome obstacles, lack of funding, lack of support. People don't want to watch this kind of stuff. They don't want to see old people. They want to be entertained by something else. All those things are all obstacles that I think we have fought together to overcome and to maintain this big vision of we can go out there, we can make this thing from scratch with almost no funding. We're all grassroots funded. We're not corporate funded. We're not big, company funded. We're not government funded. We are grassroots people funded. We need to go to the people and educate them and show them that change needs to happen, and it needs to happen now. That's kind of the vision. We decided we'd give it a try. We don't know if it's going to work or not, but we got to do something different.
I think it's going to work. I think it's going to work.
I think so too.
Before I go to Susie here real quick, Rick, I don't know for you, but from the outside, I see some stark correlation between this and Dopesick in the sense, you're taking down Purdue Pharma, multi-billion-dollar whatever pharmaceutical company. Now we're shifting and we're going after the healthcare industry. Is that fair or is that a leap?
Well, I learned from Dopesick, right? I as a prosecutor for 30 years or so, I stayed away from the media. I stayed away from social media. I stayed away from reporters, all that. It was just work on my case. And doing the one-off cases, I look back, that didn't change anything. But when I got involved with Dopesick, and I wasn't involved other than to be somebody that was interviewed, and I said, I want to make sure the story is told factually and truthfully. And I saw how Dopesick changed attitudes towards people who were, who got addicted to opioids, because people you can easily think, and I was one of those that, oh, they're doing it to themselves, they're at fault. But when you saw how the company, how big business, big pharma used them, and you learned about how opioids can change the brain and how it takes away your free will, in essence, then you have to come away with a different attitude about how do you help people? How do you get away from that? How do you treat that? Are we doing stuff that helps them? So yes, I think that seeing what Dopesick could do in terms of changing people's society's views and attitudes, that kind of told me this is a way that we can go to change things.
Yeah, and that's what I'm seeing too. I kind of look at the nursing home industry, healthcare industry as a whole, as Purdue Pharma, and our elders and our seniors are the patients, and instead of it being an opioid, it's a nursing home, and you're just put there and forgotten about. I don't know. Yeah. Do you agree with that, Susie?
I agree 100%. I mean, I think that, for me, Dopesick was, I've always believed in the power of storytelling, obviously, but for me, just to validate more what Rick was saying, that I had opioids and particularly OxyContin had touched my life, very profoundly with my own sibling. And I think that what these kinds of stories do is they help to shift how the collective looks at it. And I include myself because I too, even though I was right in the midst of it with my own brother, I had, there's stigma about it. And it's like, you have the choice. Like, what's his problem? Why didn't he just, quit? Why is he being such a jerk? And all these types of things that we sort of do and we write it off as like, well, they could fix it if they want to. Well, they can't. They can't. And I got that information by watching that film. That's the only way, or miniseries, that's the only way that I got that information, was through that. It was a huge epiphany for me that way. And that's what we hope that No Country for Old People will do. Will let people, let people know that most of us don't have a choice in this matter. I'll get responses on social media like, well, why did you leave your mom there? Why didn't you take her home? Why didn't you take care of, I took care of my grandmother until she passed away, and that's what we should do, and all these shoulds. But don't you think that anybody would want to take care of their parent if they could, if they had the money, the space, the knowledge, the expertise, and everything else that would keep them safe? But many of us don't have that choice because they're safer in a place that's supposed to be set up to care for them when they have comorbidities, when they have a high acuity, right? So we don't have that choice. And more than that, those institutions, those facilities are set up to do so. So they're not, we don't expect them not to do that. And I'm not a doctor, I'm not a nurse, and it's expensive. We don't have the financing for it. So, what I hope is that, and I know it will, if people watch it, it will take that stigma, remove that stigma of, well, you should have, and well, too bad for you. You didn't do it right. Or, or they're old anyway, no, we want to humanize people, so people remember that these are not just throwaway people, as one of our, interviewees says. These are human beings that have a right to a life with dignity and quality of care, and everything else that everyone else deserves in life. And I wanted to just read one thing. I got this post last night from someone that is in our documentary, who, I think that she very much saw a lot of pushback even in our own community about that perhaps that we went too far in our documentary, right? And it's such a win for, I think, all of us to hear her. She posted yesterday. Some people say that Susie Segar Carter went too far, but basically, no, she didn't. Basically, now we need to look at this and we need to change it now, because I've been doing this for 45 years and nothing's changed. And so I take that as such a huge win, because, just fighting against our own community, who, people get stuck, and you get your very small vision, and it feels right and it's comfortable. It's hard to look outside your box.
Well, and some of your box is funded by the industry.
Thank you, Rick.
Funded by the government. So that's, so we were battling all of that, and some of the very same folks in the advocacy community that should be partnering with. Of course, and I've had that happen to me before. You take on something big that's going to change, that's different, and you run into a lot of skepticism, even with the people that should be your allies. And so that's just another obstacle to overcome. And thankfully, the three of us, had the strength and the vision to deal with all of those obstacles and overcome just so much. I look back and I can't believe all of the things that we overcame to make a 3-part docuseries that's going to air on Amazon. Okay. It's mind-boggling, but I give all the credit to these two, Susie and Don.
Well, thank you,
guys,
Rick, but you were an equal partner in this, for sure.
Thank you for taking me on this journey.
Well, thank you for being on our journey.
We could not have done it without, this was such a team effort.
Yeah. And
everyone had their strengths, and, and none more important than the other, except for, well, actually these two are more important than me, but, absolutely.
I also want to shout out to
the editing was the most, most difficult
Yes, it
and
is.
huge
Yeah.
and important part of
It
the
is
whole
hard.
project. So don't
It's a
don't
lot.
sell
It was a
yourself
lot.
short.
It was a lot, but I want to say that, I think, it goes without saying that the power of Hollywood is also very, very potent. It's incredible. And we have so far, attracted some wonderful voices like Jane Fonda and Lily Tomlin and Lisa Gibbons and Danny Strong, who was the writer, director, and producer of Dope Sick, who, has been cheerleading us from the beginning. And so to have these voices validate our mission
Right.
is very important. And, it speaks to get that thumbs up from them is extremely important. And, we couldn't have gotten that till we got to this place, because these kinds of people don't give their endorsements freely. I mean, they want to make sure that they're putting their, stamp of approval to something that they believe in, and that deserves it. So for us, that is, we are so grateful for that, and it will help us amplify our message and throw a much wider net than we could ever do. We're hoping that, God bless Jane Fonda and Lily Tomlin and Lisa, who's been a champion forever, and Danny Strong too, who's like, I got an email when I first talked to him about it. I met him through Rick at like 3 a.m. after he watched one of our first demos and said, "This has to be done. You have to get this done."
Yeah.
And those are the little voices that you lean on when you're struggling with 1,000 hours of stuff that you don't even know how you're going to get through all of it. So,
Exactly.
yeah.
Yeah, I want to go to Don real quick. Don, you said, you were on this journey with Susie pretty much side by side through the beginning, but you didn't have a first-hand connection to it, as far as it wasn't a family member of yours, but it was, your best friend Susie, and you were close with Susie's mom. What surprised you going into this, really not having anything to really reference with the long-term care industry and that sort of thing? What surprised you the most?
I think everything did.
You're going to say that. I knew you were gonna say
Literally
that.
everything. And you'll see it in the documentary. Susie was just bewildered as to what the hell was happening. How was this happening? Every day she'd come home, either whether I was there or she'd go and she'd say, "You can't believe what happened today. Why is this happening?" And she thought it's this individual facility, or the individuals that were dealing with her mom, and was like, and this was a 5-star facility here in LA. How can this be happening? It doesn't make sense. Nothing made sense. And, it wasn't until she talked to Rick where he said, "Look, this is not just where you are. This is the system. This is everywhere." And we're like, "Oh, but it must be just the exception." It's like, no. It is the rule. The exceptions are the good ones. And there are good ones out there, but they are few and far between. There's so many things, and as you go, and we could have made this a 10-hour documentary, no problem, because so many things happen, and we watch back and we go, "Oh yeah," we almost forget, all the things that happened because it is insane.
I mean, COVID could have been a whole documentary.
Rick finally, we had COVID was like an hour just on what was happening during COVID. He goes, "That's not what this is about. This is, that just exposed what was happening."
It did, but it was right, but it was so important.
Yeah.
Like, how do we cut that out? So,
yeah,
somebody do that, please. Do a documentary on COVID. It's so
so the broad answer to that is everything was. I did not know anything about it. Susie did not know anything about it. And I guarantee you that 98% of the people who are going through it right now or are going to go through it will not know anything about it.
But then again, don't you agree that if you have you and I both, when you were going through it, we were like, something's wrong.
Yeah,
and when
there was
that little voice inside of you, if it's screaming at you, something's wrong, bet pretty much you can guarantee something's wrong if you listen to that voice because
But they hide it really well. They
yeah,
do because it's in, and it's such an awkward, hard situation because you're dealing when there's stuff going on and you're dealing with the people who are taking care of your loved one, and you have to walk that fine line of being the advocate but not pushing back so hard that then you become, somebody who's good. There's retaliation, things you have to worry about. You worry about because these are the people taking care of your mother. And if they say take her elsewhere, there's no other place to take them. You don't have options unless you're very wealthy or, have some extraordinary situation where you have the room and you have the support of the family and there's many people to take care of them because it's not a one-person act to take care of a person.
Right.
And so if you're alone taking care of a person and you have to go to the bathroom, suddenly they're in danger. You want to go to sleep, they're suddenly in danger. You can't do that. You need to get them in and out of a bed. My mom is in a facility right now. They use a Hoyer lift with her to get her in and out of bed with 2 or 3 people. To do that at home, a single person, 24-hour care, single person is $15,000 a month for one person, and one person's not enough.
Right.
So, among other things, those are the things I learned. But yeah, the simple answer is everything surprised me.
Yeah. Well, and I know, you touched on it there, but a lot of the families that we take care of with our company have hired us because of their experience in the nursing home. And like you said, Don, it's, a lot of them thought, oh, I thought it was just me, or maybe it was just a facility. But that sentiment is pretty much across the board, but these people don't know each other. They just think they're the only one. And I think that's what this film's going to help do, is to help make people aware of this isn't just a one-off. Like you said, it's not the exception, it's the rule. And hopefully that will help lead to some, deep, meaningful, impactful changes in this industry, because, it's only going to get worse with the baby boomer population continuing to grow, and people are living longer, and these facilities are already understaffed. They're underregulated, and people also don't know there are other options other than a nursing home as well.
Mm-hmm.
But Lance, and you would know as well as anybody, though, that the system is set up so that the funding funnels people into nursing homes, not to stay home.
Right.
The system funnels people to these facilities because the companies that own them, or the people that own them, can make money. Most of their revenue comes from government money. And so if you start using some of that government money to direct people or help people stay home, what does that do to their bottom line?
Exactly.
That's part of the system. That's one of the things that needs to be exposed and talked about, of the many things that we want exposed and talked about through this docuseries.
Absolutely.
Right. Because there is no better place than to be at home. Isn't that the ideal thing? Like, who wants to go? These are, they call them nursing homes, but they're not homes. They're the farthest thing from a home.
They're nursing warehouses.
Yes. Like a meat factory.
Totally.
Yeah. Absolutely. Before we wrap up, I want to give you guys a chance to answer this question. And because all 3 of you have worked on this tirelessly for the last, 3 years or so, do each of you have the same message that you want people to take away from the film? Like, Rick, is yours more about government change? Susie's, is yours more about more adequate care? Or do all 3 of you have the exact same thing? And what is it?
We need to change the system so it is a system that emphasizes people and taking care of people over money making. Because right now the system emphasizes profit. So the people are just commodities. In fact, these institutions, the companies that run them, they don't call them people, they call them beds.
Yeah.
They're just line items on an Excel spreadsheet. Okay.
Exactly.
So that whole system needs change. It's not going to be easy, but we can get it started.
Absolutely.
We are starting we've launched actually a movement called ROAR, which is Respect, Oversight, Advocacy, and Reform in Long-Term Care. We are roariers. We are roaring for people who do not have a voice. This is what we need to do as a movement like this that is run by the collective that, and, not only do we need to change the system, we need to change the collective perspective of how we are treating our most vulnerable. That's super important too, because we need to shift that. We've gotten to a place where it's very easy to do a lot of at least and that's not fair. Because when you and I are in our 80s or 90s, God willing, and we are one of those people, we're not going to, all of us, nobody wants to be treated like that, and they shouldn't be, and we're paying for it. It comes out of our paychecks. Yes. Our Medicaid, right? And then our federal government comes from our taxes. So, in essence, somebody's stealing our money to buy really expensive homes and cars and everything else while other people are being tortured. Not to, and I'm not being dramatic about it. That's the truth. Right. So we hope that it changes the system as well as the way that the collective perceives this dilemma, or, and how they look at, the ageism and the ableism that's permeated our society.
100%. How about for you, Don?
Because you asked if, there any individual things that we might each want to change. It's all under the umbrella of the system. Once the system, if God willing, the system changes, all those other things will be affected. If we went to, it's just the way they're taken care of, or just this little part of it, that's not it, because all those things will be affected if we can change the system. And the only way that can happen is with everyone's voices. We have right now, hopefully we still do, we'll have a vote and the people we're voting for, the legislators, and a lot of those people are in, the nursing home lobby is super powerful, and they have infiltrated our legislature. They're in the pockets of them. And if they know that we know, that's step one. Yeah. And if they know that if they're not in power anymore, that's step two. So this is the only way that, a system is going to change. It's going to have to be all of us that do that.
Yeah, absolutely. Susie, it's coming out August 1st. Where do you want people to go?
Go to Amazon Prime. It'll be, it's going to be available in so many places, but if you can go there in the first couple of weeks, that'll push the algorithm up and that'll spread it out to more people. It's 3 parts. Watch it, take a breath, watch second part, third part, but please watch it all, because it's not going to leave you in, feeling like,
hopeless. Yeah. You won't feel hopeless at the end.
And I encourage you to watch it to the end and share it with everybody. And I hope that you, find it motivating and not depressing, and motivates you to get on board, because this is a case of a human issue. This is not politics. It's just basic humanity. Absolutely. And so let's be a community and hold hands and kumbaya and get together.
And post about it on social media.
Yes.
Yes, absolutely. And we're going to have everything in the show notes as well. And, we're going to do whatever you guys need us to do to help support it and spread the word. Susie, Rick, Don, thank you guys so much. Proud to call you friends, but even prouder for you that the film is finally coming out. We can't wait to see it and help support it.
Thank you.
Thank you, Lance, and thank you for your support.
Absolutely, guys.
Thank you so much.
Have a great day.
Take care.
Bye-bye, everybody.
It's very clear our love is here to stay, not for a year, but ever and a day. The radio and the telephone and the movies that we know may just be passing fancies, and in time may go. Ooh, my dear.
And you have to wait for Rosa. She's coming. Go, Edie. She lets me know. Good girl. Hi, Mom. It's me, Susie. What happened? What's the matter? You're hurting her. She's on the tube. Oh, it's bleeding. I know. So sorry. I feel impotent to help my mom. She's in pain because they're not taking care of her.
Fighting for his dignity was a horrible battle from hell.
And I'm calling the nurse's station. There's no one picking up the damn phone.
My mother's death was a brutal death at the nursing home.
The nursing home can save as much as $1 million a year by keeping their staffing low.
The lack of staffing.
There's a big problem with understaffing.
Staffing is the root of all evil.
We live in a very ageist society. No one wants to see images of older adults. It doesn't sell.
I love you.
If you're specifically doing it to make sure that the patient just dies in 10 minutes, that's murder.
If being honest and having integrity gets you in trouble, keep doing it.
When cash is the primary reason for doing something anywhere in the healthcare system, people suffer.
There is the huge ethical issue within this industry is you are literally killing people to make more money.
They're trying to make her die faster than she wants to.
Do we care about the patients, the residents, or do we care about the finances of the healthcare industrial complex? And we have to look in the mirror and ask ourselves as a country, what are we going to do for our older adults, for our most vulnerable, for our loved ones? And I think that's why you're doing this documentary.
Thank you for joining us today here at All Home Care Matters. All Home Care Matters is here to help families as they navigate these long-term care issues. We invite you to visit us at allhomecarematters.com, where there's a private, secure, fillable form where you can give us feedback, show ideas, or if you have questions. Every form is read and responded to. And remember, you can listen to the show on any of your favorite podcast streaming platforms or watch the show on our official YouTube channel. Just make sure that you hit that subscribe button so that you never miss an episode. We'd also like to say thank you again to our good friends Susie, Don, and Rick for joining us today, the team behind the new film No Country for Old People.
Thank you for joining us today. We look forward to you joining us again on another episode of All Home Care Matters. To learn more about the show and to connect with us, visit us at allhomecarematters.com.